Alright YouTube, it's PJ and it's time for another video. So, the last couple videos I've basically picked a theme to chat with you guys about for a few minutes, and everybody has seemed to like those videos. So, I'm not saying that's what all the videos are gonna turn into, but that's what this one's gonna turn into. And it's a topic that I continually have to remind myself to. Uh, it's a topic that's really important to me, and it's something that I want to share with everybody, regardless of whether you have a disability or not. But um, it's something that a lot of people with disabilities don't like to do because they don't think they can or don't think they should. And that topic is pushing yourself outside your comfort zone. And it's not that people with disabilities don't think they can or don't think they should. Um, but for them personally, but when people look at you and in my instance they notice the chair or notice that I can't walk independently, uh, they assume that I have this little box um, that I'm stuck in, and that there's no point to trying to push the walls of that box further and further out. And I'll be honest, that gets to me to the point where sometimes I don't want to push the walls out further because I ask myself, what is the point? But that is exactly the point. That in the basic deduction, people think there is no point. And there is. It's not about proving it to others or doing it for this person or that person. That those things play into pushing yourself uh, further, but when it really boils down to it, it's just exactly that. You push yourself to push yourself. Um, and for a little while, I lost that. That's part of the reason the video stopped for a long time. But this, making videos, pushes me. Um, it gets my story out there in a way that it wouldn't get out there. Because I have to do it. Nobody does it for me. So not this Saturday, but the next Saturday, I'll be going to a camp I've been to for, this will be my third year at this one, but it's my 5th year working as, for lack of a better term, a camp counselor for at a camp for families affected by disability. It's basically their vacation week, but we set it up like camp. so the kids who don't normally get to experience camp can in a small way. But even though I've done it for 5 years now, um, each week is different. Um, because you have new people, you have different disabilities that you deal with. Part of my job that week is to help train the volunteers on wheelchair safety. So every year, my training changes just a little bit based on who's there and who's not there, or who's been there before and who's coming into camp as a rookie. Um, and I don't know all that stuff going in. I know some of that stuff beforehand, but going in, for the most part, I'm going in blind. So I basically, the basics of the training don't change, but the details do. Um, and I have to do that on the fly. So it pushes me. Um, I told you guys back in June I started working at a church. Um, so I've spent the last month getting to know the people I go to church with, the people I work with, uh, people that are going to be in the age group. Um, that I am in charge of. Uh, and that has pushed me because I've I've been handed the reins and said, go. We'll support you in not whatever you want to do, but we know where your heart is, so we know most of the stuff you're going to want to do matches up with our vision as a church. So that's pushed me because I've never been told um, straight up that this is yours. Go do with it what you want. So, and then 2 weeks ago, my pastor taps me on the shoulder and says, "Hey, I try to do this with all my staff, uh, but can you, or not can you, would you like to preach for us on a Sunday?" So now I'm writing a sermon, which I've led Bible study groups and stuff like that, but I've always had guidelines. Even when I've had to write sermons for like school assignment, considering my major's ministry related, I've always had guidelines. The first question I asked him was, sure, and are we gonna be doing a series or anything that I need to track with? And he's like, no, it's completely up to you. Um, so that has pushed me, but it's also been really fun. I started working on it last week, and it's been a fun experience just to sit and think. I haven't written a bunch, but that's always in the back of my mind going, hey, I could use this situation or as an example, or that situation as an example. So it's all the little things, and hey, my mom's not here anymore. I physically here, like I can't go to the next room and ask her a question. If I've got a question, I've got to call and ask her, and we talk every 2 or 3 days. Ask each other how things are going. She asks me questions. She asks me for advice. I I then I turn around and do the same thing. But that is pushing me because I don't have that number one person I'd ask for advice right down the hall from me anymore. I've gotta push out and go, okay. So, and back when I was younger, that was easy, but like I said, as I've gotten older, the doubters and the people who second guess me um, really got to me, and I started shutting down when it came to trying to push myself and make myself better. Um, but the last couple months, God has really shown me that hey, if you push just a little bit, there's no telling what you can do. Like when I was thinking about taking this staff position at the church, that was a big push because it meant me having to leave friends and leave a structure that I had a hand in helping build as far as what it looked like when I left. I had a hand in that the last year. Um, but now I'm at a place where there is no structure and I'm having to basically go in and build the structure and say, okay, this is what, uh, and have conversations with people and say, hey, this is what I'm thinking. Um, what do you guys think? And sometimes they tell me no, which I haven't experienced a lot of that yet. But it's life, it's gonna happen. And then pushing your walls further to better yourself and be the best you can be isn't the only walls that everybody has to push down. Like in my instance, I've got the walls of my dad leaving and the way he left that I continually have to push past because even though it happened back when I was in high school and when I was 15, 16, and I'm 24 now, uh, a bunch of people a bunch of people who don't know the situation might say, hey, it's time to, it's been 6, 7 years, you need to stop letting this affect you so bad, and they're right. But they may not know how close my dad and I were, or how the what exactly happened in this situation. So they may be spouting, or not spouting, but they may be giving me solid advice and advice that I need to take, but also advice that they're giving under the presumption of knowing all the facts, and they don't, or they may not. So that's part of making myself better and being the best person I can be is going, okay, they're right, I need to push past these walls, or at least use these walls to something productive, because for the longest time, those walls were the exact reason why I didn't make myself better, because my dad said something, or actually my dad said a lot of things, but there was one particular instance that really messed with my head. And I tried to push past it for the longest time, but every time I started thinking about something, I'd go, well, Dad doesn't think I'm good enough. Dad doesn't think I'm um worth it, and I I'd stop because what was the point? Because I don't care who you are or what the situation is. Um, guys are, or at least the ones I've known, have always wanted to do right in the eyes of their dad and make their dads proud and live up to who their dads are and were and will be. Um, and I felt like I could never do that. But then I got older, or not older, but then a couple months ago, I just finally snapped and said, alright, I gotta get with my program and get with the program that God wants of me. Because this sitting around doing nothing essentially stinks and it sucks and it just it's not who I am, and it's definitely not who my mom raised me to be. And when it boils down to it, when my dad was around, it wasn't who he pushed me to be. So I'm if I'm gonna push myself past it and prove to him that I am worth it or am worth something, I need to make myself better no matter what he thinks. And that's with school, that's with work, that's with life, that's with everything. Um, so God, God has plans for us all, and He gives us tools um, to enact those plans. He brings people into our lives um, that can nudge and push and pull and scrape and claw and bite and kick and do whatever to get us to that point. But when it really boils down to enacting those plans, it's on us. It's on us to say, okay, we know you've got something for us, for me, um, but it's our job to go, okay, God, no matter how bad it gets, no matter how many times I get knocked down, I'm gonna get back up and keep going. One of my favorite quotes is from Vince Lombardi, the Green Bay Packers coach from back in the day. The Super Bowl trophy is named after him. Um, and I'm not even a Packers fan, and for the longest time, this quote, thanks to my mom, hung over my bed, and it was the first thing I saw every morning, and the last thing I saw before I went to bed, and it said, it doesn't matter if life knocks you down. It matters if you get back up and dust yourself off. So life's gonna knock us down. And sometimes God throws that stuff in purposely to see what we do. So it's our choice to want to make ourselves better. It's our choice to be the best we can be. And by being the best we can be, it in turn pushes people outside of us to be better. Like I've always said, a driving force behind me starting this channel was other YouTubers that I'd sit and watch. And they'd go, no matter our life's a mess, yes, but this is something we love doing, so we're gonna keep doing it. My life it's not near as much of a mess as it was a couple months ago, but it's a mess, and that's not because I've done anything or haven't done anything. It's just a mess because everybody's life is a mess at some point. We do things to make that mess worse or make that mess better, but it's a mess just because we're human and it's who we are and it's because of this and we have. So regardless of whether you're disabled or you're able-bodied, to use the term, which means you don't have a disability. It's our choice. It doesn't matter if you're 24 or 94. You still have to choose. One of my best role models was my great-grandfather, who I actually got to spend a lot of time with when we moved back here to Chattanooga. He died when he was 98, but up until a couple months before he died, he was 97. He pushed himself. He pushed others around him because he was I don't know, he wasn't that old. My math's a little off. But he was in his 90s. He pushed himself and he pushed others around him because they were like, I want to live as long as Tom. I hope I can live as long as Tom and have as great a relationship as Tom and Lucy did, which was my great grandmother. So he played golf up until he was like 93. Till his body physically couldn't get out there and swing the golf club. I mean, he fought in World War II. He was a Seabee in the Navy. So he built like bases and worked on ships for the Navy, which was really cool to get to hear those stories. But even in those stories that I heard a million times, literally, and it honestly got annoying, but every time I heard those stories, I heard something different. But I also heard one thing. He pushed himself to his limits to make himself better every single day, which in turn made my grandfather better, which in turn, when he was growing up, which in turn made my mom better, which in turn makes me better, which in turn hopefully will make my kids better because they see that work ethic and that drive that's been passed down and passed down and passed down. And my dad's family's the same way. Even though I don't have the best relationship with him right now, my relationship with my grandparents is really good. And his dad's the same way. He fought in Vietnam. He was a trucker. But it it and he keeps telling people he's retired, but he still works on odd jobs around the house and for people he knows and stuff. Every time I see him or talk to him or do whatever, he's pushing himself, and not as much now because his body is finally starting to catch up with him, but the stories I hear from the places he's worked and the places he's been, that same thing. So even though they may not get what I'm trying to do, or may not get what I am trying to become, because my grandmother really hates the fact that I played hockey with adults when I was 7. She's really happy that I haven't actually competed in any sports for about 5 or 6 years, just because it hasn't been conducive. But she still sees that drive in me, that want to get back on the court or back on the ice, which has been really strong lately. Uh, because, like I said, if I want to push myself and better myself, I've got to get with the program and get with what God wants me to do. And I've always felt that sports was part of what I was supposed to do. But anyway, I'm chasing rabbit trails now. But honestly, the one thing that I wanted to stress with you guys is don't be afraid to push yourself regardless of if you're disabled, if you're a guy, if you're a girl, if you're able-bodied, if you're blue, black, white, yellow, whatever. Push yourself to be the best you can be. And don't let anybody tell you you can't, because they don't know that you can or not. It's all up to you. So, until next time, guys, disability never sleeps. So, until the job gets done, neither will I.